Coming up now from Lagos, Nigeria, it's Moments Girls Talk. Guests of the day, actress Kira Hiwach and comedian Michael Ogbolo are ready to let it all out on the topic of the day. Why am I still single?
There are people who have seminars on this topic. You see conferences in churches called Why Am I Still Single?
Singleness must die.
Have you guys seen Who Stole My Wedding Dress?
Michael shares more on his career, and Kira's revelation will have you on the edge of your seat.
I have listening ears. I love to listen to stuff. When I hear people talk, experiences, and all of that, I draw inspiration from all that.
Because here's the thing about the Mills and Boons that we used to read about this perfect guy. Usually this perfect guy came to save you in a very imperfect situation. Like people were chasing him, you know, he probably got stabbed in the back or something trying to save your life, and eventually somehow he just knows that he's
rode
going to
in
pluck,
on a horse to save
yeah,
you.
exactly. He's going to pluck one flower and put it in your hair and then you're going to feel good. We pick the flower part and we forget that this guy went through hell to get to. So it's work.
The time is right, and the show is Moments.
Last year, I had said a man needs to know how to pronounce my name. At this point in time, I declare, and I had that conversation. It's okay if you can't say Michelle. You can say Mitch. You can call me Mitchell. As long as everything else is okay. Please come.
Welcome back to Moments Girls Talk. Today is really a conversation that so many people in the world are always asking a question, the age-old question of why am I still single? Now, there are books. There are people who have done
books.
Self-help. There are self-help books. There are people who have seminars on this topic. You see conferences in churches called Why Am I Still Single?
Singleness must die.
Have you guys seen Who Stole My Wedding Dress? There's actually a conference like that in Nigeria. And everyone is wondering, you know, why am I still single? It's not why am I single, why am I still single? Which basically means you're at a place where you're ready to be in a relationship. You want to be with someone, you want to spend your life with someone. Maybe you want to have a life partner, a boyfriend. And you have everything right. You're beautiful, you know, you're intelligent, you're a handsome guy, you're doing well for yourself, you speak good English, you smell good, but you're still
I like that they
single.
only put that you smell good.
So I want to hear from you guys. Why do you think people who are ready and in, you know, a state of mind where they would like to be with someone are still single in this day and age?
Just to wrap up before we all begin, as I think you also have to add where we're from. Because there are certain places
factor.
where you could be 45, 50. In America, for instance, there's so many things that can take your mind off the fact that, I'm not in a relationship. All of a sudden you wake up, you're almost 50, I was chasing my career or whatever. But here, you have to steady start from the family pressure. What makes you realize that you are single? Which is why those churches have Who Stole My Wedding Dress.
So, who wants to go
Michael?
first?
Okay. For me though, I think it applies to different people differently. I mean, the issue of singlehood, like you said, I mean, sometimes it's cultural, sometimes it's pressure from. But for me, I think, from a guy's perspective, I think more guys are still single because there's a list.
Oh, really? Men have a list?
Yeah.
I didn't know, because usually women are the ones.
I know. Oftentimes it's more of a woman thing, but there are some guys who have a list. I mean, she needs to be this, she needs to be that. A friend of mine who's probably close to 40, if not in his early 40s, has a list. He told me this some time back, and she has to be this. I had like about 10 different things.
Was he half of those things on that list?
Himself?
Good point.
I don't think so. But I had to tell him, I said, man, guy, look, they've not created that lady yet. That's the reason why you're still single. Because for some people, it's a list. There's a particular thing you see at the
So
back
for
of
your
your
friend,
mind.
he's not going to get married until he finds somebody that fills what, like 9 out of the 10
has to
points.
Be. And we all know there's nobody who's like 100%. You know, so sometimes I think there's just that list. You're too choosy, too picky, and it can keep you on that spot.
And he's single.
He's still single. Yeah.
Well, we know why he's single.
Interesting. That's an interesting perspective. We'll get back to that. But what do you think?
Basically, I just think that we're all just selfish. That's the truth. Because now everyone wants it easy. You want, you want the guy who has everything or who's a self-made guy. And the guy, he wants someone, you know, who comes looking like the total package. Like he wants that woman who can look like the trophy girl. Like he says he wants her to be good, but then you also want her to be able to be independent. But you you worry about what does she do to look the way she does, to, you know, drive the car that she does, to, you know, to live where she does. But you say that that's the kind of woman that you want. But then when you have her, you start to question what she does and how she gets. And then it begins to, we're just a bunch of selfish people because we don't want to work, we don't basically just want to give. And giving is not just about
basically people want the end result without
exactly. You don't want to you just want to you want the shortcut. You just want to get to the end, to that guy who has everything so that you can feel comfortable. What's the work? What's the process?
I see what you're saying, and I completely agree with you in the fact that, you know, there's that situation where, and then I've mentioned there's a book I read called The Meaning of Marriage, and in so many ways, right, we don't want the work of having to develop or grow with someone. We want someone who is already very, you know, thoughtful. You don't want to have to be the one who has to be like, babe, next time buy me flowers. You want a perfect human being who is going to fulfill all your needs.
And it's unrealistic. It's completely unrealistic because it's impossible to meet someone who is going to do all those things. Like, sorry to say, like your friend, you know, if you're watching, I think it's ridiculous. It's unrealistic to expect somebody to fulfill all the criteria that you have. I think as you get older, you know that list, maybe if he has a list of 10 things, you're lucky if you get three. And you compromise on all the other things.
Okay, but let me put a spin on things, Do you think that we owe this sort of nature, because everyone's agreed that it could be selfishness, it could be people wanting the end result without working, right? Do you think that it has to do with this thing called movies that we watched growing up?
Absolutely.
Do you think it has to do with books we read growing up? Who sold, I mean, every Muse and Boom had this perfect guy.
What about romantic comedies?
Or romantic comedies as well. And then you walk around life expecting that it's going to be like in the movies. Like, there's also this thing of using boyfriend to do husband and using husband to do boyfriend. I mean, a lot of females can relate to that, where you think, everybody had a list growing up. I want tall, dark, handsome, must have sense of humor, rich, and as you grow older, there's a time that you begin to check that list and say, it keeps changing when we go. So do you think that where we are also adds to all the things that we've, you know, we're victims of our environment? Do you think that's what helps us? Or?
Do you mind if I say something here? I think that we have this problem where we sort of like the good parts and then we don't want the bad. Because here's the thing about the Mills and Booms that we used to read about, this perfect guy. Usually this perfect guy came to save you in a very imperfect situation. Like, people were chasing him, you know, he probably got stabbed in the back or something trying to save your life, and eventually somehow he just knows that he's
rode in on a horse to save you.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to pluck one flower and put it in your hair, and then you're going to feel good. We pick the flower part and we forget that this guy went through hell to get to. So it's work. It's work. Bottom line is, if you want something beautiful, you have to be willing to sacrifice for it. And these days, in 2016, I'm sorry to say, nobody is sacrificing anything. It's like somebody calls you, buddy, hey, I'm stuck in this place, I beg, no vex, can you come and get me? And you know you don't have fuel, but you say, okay, this is my friend. Tomorrow, I want him to be able to do the same thing for me. So you get up and you go.
Girl, you just said it all.
Yes, you did.
Moments Girls Talk is going to continue on this very, very interesting topic. We'll be back shortly.
Sometimes I think we over-God things, we over-spiritualize some things. Because, I mean, for example, if you think in that direction that there's someone for me, what if that person dies young?
Welcome back to Moments Girls Talk Nigeria. We are having a very interesting conversation. Why am I still single? Now, before we went on the break, our guests have shared reasons why they think both male and females are single. And let's continue from where we stopped, because she had a very interesting point. Her point being that we forget the circumstances, and I am guilty as well. You know, when you sit back, you imagine that idea of a guy just meeting you. We don't think about where we are, the baggage we're carrying, but you just expect this guy that's just coming to, even if you're independent, it happens in your mind. You think, I want to just meet one guy which is perfect, which is conclusive. But then how do you now identify these things is what I want us to talk about. Do you understand? How do we help people to, it's okay to have a list, it's okay to have these ideas, but where does reality fit into all these your ideas?
Interesting.
I think people should, I think that for because I'm speaking as a guy now, I think most of us need to come to that place where we say, okay, look, aside this list, aside all of these things that I think I want in a woman, I should also be able to, because some people are rigid. Okay. Some people are rigid. They just think it should be like this. So when you get to meet someone else, you're not ready to bend. You're not ready to learn to understand someone else and take them in. And it's not really changing you, but it's making you a better person.
I think
at
it's
the end of the day.
compromise.
So yes, you know, yes, compromise. You know, and these issues most of the time some people are still single because of those reasons. You're rigid to your point. You're rigid and so it be. This height has to be, and you've missed. Yes.
But do you believe that if you miss, you can always get it back?
Not for everyone, though.
Well,
Sometimes, I don't think so.
I don't know. There's a saying that the only constant thing is change, and you can't be stuck in your old ways if time is moving forward, because you're just going to be left in the past. You're going to be left behind. But I think that if people can just learn how to just go with the flow, and when I say go with the flow, I'm talking about everything. For instance, you have a job to do. You know that this is how it works. So you go with it because you believe that at some point there will be a path that will lead you to an idea. Just go with it. Don't now try to change something before you've actually learned the ropes, you know? So what I'm saying, I think that when it comes to love, relationships, it's instead of just beginning to question, okay, I called him at 2 o'clock, he's not picking up. Does it mean that, does it mean that he's not, like he saw the call and he did not want to pick? Why will you be going there? Just go with the flow. If he didn't pick up because he's stuck somewhere or his phone is in his pocket.
But you know something, I think one of the reasons why, I think one of the reasons why women do what they do is because we're very emotional.
Yes.
We're extremely emotional. Men are rational. Now, there are a few women who are rational. I think you're probably one of those women.
Girl.
I feel like, you know, in as much as we're being rational and emotional, it's a game. Let's call it what it is. And another thing I feel is, I asked the question which we all forgot to, do you feel, I'm a personal person, I don't believe in this thing called soulmates. I'll tell you why. I don't believe that there's one person to one person. Do you understand? And there's a reason why I'm asking this. If you miss somebody, maybe you were childish at some point, does that mean that your boat has now finally sailed? One. Number two, spiritually, let's nail it. Because I've had, you know, sermons where they say your church wedding dress has been stolen. And it leaves me confused. I don't personally think God is as involved, as invested as we think it is. God has given us brain to think. God is not going to bring you a man. You make that choice and you put it before him and he will give you grace. If you marry the worst man on earth, he will give you the grace to marry that man. Do you understand? So I feel like we lean too many things towards church now. It's putting pressure, culture, pressure.
Okay, so let me address that issue. And the reason why I'm specifically about the marriage thing, I think that, like you said, what's amazing about life is that as human beings, we make mistakes over and over and over again in everything. And sometimes you hear stories of people who you're like, wow, like God really is merciful. Like you made a huge mistake, but he'll find a way to give you the grace.
Relationships?
No. I'm not talking about relationships. I'm talking about in life. Like, you know, when sometimes maybe you were supposed to do this, take a job and you didn't take it. But you still find your way to where you're supposed to. It might be a longer path, but they always talk about how you think about people in the Bible who you didn't have to go through that path to where you were going, right? The typical example is the Israelites. Y'all were supposed to get there in how many days? 2, 3 days? Or 30 days? You took 40 years. In that same way, I think about the fact that your life was supposed to be a bit different. Your life was supposed to have less pain, but you decided to maybe date this person, and now you're dealing with 3-4 years of heartbreak. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
so what are you saying?
What
That
I'm
you
saying
need
is
to
that
basically
God-
wait for God to give you direction?
What I'm saying is that instead of making decisions, such a decision where it influences your life so heavily, because who you marry is so important, right?
Yes.
It affects so many things. You know, I meet women who sometimes I'll be like, girl, I know whatever you're dealing with, you have serious issues at home. Like you can see there's resentment, bitterness, anger, just the spirit where they're not content, because this is someone who your soul is tied to and they're dragging you
So what
back.
are you suggesting?
So
would be
what
the
I'm
solution?
suggesting is you need to pray before you get married. Not because of there's just one person, but because of just like how you pray before you buy a house or before you do something.
Good point.
God will tell you.
Yeah, I want to say something because I don't think there should be one person. I mean, sometimes I think we over God things, we over spiritualize some things. Because I mean, for example, if you think in that direction that there's someone for me, what if that person dies young?
Which happens.
So does that mean you might not find someone else?
No, but you guys are misplacing what I'm saying.
No, we understand what you're saying. You're saying just take it to God first.
Yes,
consult him before you make a decision. But like Toke said earlier, if the person that you meet, you marry, God will give you the grace to handle it if it's a bad marriage. It may have started off well.
Yeah.
So let's say you've prayed about it and God gives you the go-ahead and it turns into a disaster. What do you do then? You've consulted God.
Just before we quickly wrap up, I know you wanted to say something?
Well, you've all said a lot of stuff, so basically I just want to say that it's work, you know, it's if you are with someone, and here's the thing, I think that everyone here, or everyone who says, oh, I'm single, if you really think about it, there is someone in your life actually that you don't realize. And if you just put in some work, if you just actually see the person, because most times you see the expectations, you don't actually see the person. So
She's
see
deep.
them.
Yeah.
Okay, this conversation is definitely going to continue right after this.
I'm not currently in any relationship which I'm supposed to hide it from, but in my previous relationships, I think that I would just let a lot of things just
Slide.
yeah, slide.
You didn't display your strength.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Moments Nigeria. It's Girls Talk, and we're talking about being single. And the question for today was, why am I still single? We've had so many different opinions, and Kira, you've been very, very knowledgeable. It's like very deep. You're like, seriously, you're just telling it like it is. Before the break, you had said, you have to be able to put in the work, or rather willing to put in the work. And sometimes you have to look at the people that are in your life, because you might be single because there's somebody in your life who's there that you've not noticed. But I know a lot of people, including myself, who have actually taken a look at the people, so the men that are in my life, male friends, and I've thought, okay, could I date this person? I didn't necessarily draw up a list, but here are the pros and cons of dating this person. And if it is that you still don't find somebody there, what do you do then at that point? That's what I want to hear from you, because there are a lot of people that are in that situation. You've taken a look at your best friend who happens to be a guy. He's a great guy. There are pros about him, there are also cons about him. In some cases, people date the person and it doesn't work out.
And just to
what
add
do you
to
do
what she's
then?
saying, before you respond, before we went on a break, what you said has different meanings. For some people at home, they might think that's also settling. Because when you say there's always somebody in your life,
Yes.
let's expatiate on that. So, because if you settle, you're also in trouble.
Yeah.
Well,
because I don't believe
I'm not
in settling.
an advocate for settling at all. I'm not an advocate for settling, and I usually am very drastic in the sense that I say, if I don't find what it is, then I would rather just be single. And here's the thing, it's not a worrisome thought. Why? Because if you know what the thing is, like for instance, you've looked around, you haven't really found it yet. The truth is that it's just basically, I don't know, so that I don't sound like a Dalai Lama or something. Like it's an instinctive thing. It's like this, your spirit, your inner man calling to that other person who is supposed to just understand. It might be a guy who doesn't even have money. It might be a guy who physically is not what people think should be your kind of guy, but there's something about him, you understand? So I think that it's just, I really don't know.
Trial and error, perhaps.
Yeah.
I think it's a situation where people don't really know the answers to that particular question. Let's move on to the question for the day, which is related to this topic. What is the one true quality that you currently possess that was hidden from your past relationship, or that is hidden from your current relationship? A quality that you possess, that you've always possessed, that was hidden from your past relationship, or is still hidden from your current relationship?
I think for me it's communication skills. I can communicate here. I'm a good talker. I can talk up a storm. But when I'm in relationship, and when I was in my last relationship, I found out that I wouldn't find my voice to communicate efficiently how I really feel. I don't know if it was shy, I don't know what it was. And even now, when I'm with a guy that I like, I know I feel certain ways, but I don't know how to just.
I think that's a problem that a lot of women have.
Communication
where
skills.
it's almost like we're afraid to really say how we
to
feel.
rock the boat.
There's a lot of nerves
Exactly.
in being vulnerable
Yes.
and telling them how you really feel, because you feel like they'll reject you.
And the irony is, I think men actually like it when you show them that vulnerable side.
Sometimes, but I think also it comes from situations where, when you speak your mind, you're told you're overreacting or you're being crazy. Or, anyways,
communication skills.
For me too, it's definitely that one.
Okay, Kira?
For me, I think that quality would be strength. Okay. I don't know, I used to wear my heart on my sleeve. I still do, but now you can tell that there is like a superwoman armband next to it. So I'm strong now. I'm not currently in any relationship which I'm supposed to hide it from, but in my previous relationships, I think that I would just let a lot of things just slide or
you
just
didn't
sweep
display
over
your
me.
strength.
Yeah, and then I would be thinking that I should probably step up. I should probably ask him that question. I should probably make this an issue. But then I would be like, no, I don't want to be that girl who nags.
Rocks the boat.
So yeah.
Michael?
All right, for me, I would think it is having a good heart.
Hey, you were a bastard in the past.
No, the truth is, you tend to meet people, in your dating life who might not see this quality. And probably from their own fears and insecurities, from where they are coming from, they do not see you now having a good heart as someone who is genuine. So you come and it looks like this thing you are doing, you have an ulterior motive to this. So oftentimes I had to deal with that personally from past relationships. I'm in a relationship right now, and the person I am with appreciates a lot of that. So which makes me see, okay, yes, I'm actually a good person at heart. I go all the way to actually bring out the best for my woman. For me, that's what makes
awesome.
me a man.
That's
So
amazing. And he said I love TV.
Yeah,
That's
mine's similar to yours, even though it's not communication, because that wasn't my issue. I think it's showing vulnerability.
All right, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. We
Thank you
really
so
appreciate it.
much.
Before we let you go, we have a little tradition here. We would like you to share, I'm not even going to say a throwback picture. We want you to share a secret.
We want to know you.
It's like we've decided now everybody that's going to
Yeah.
come on the show will share a secret.
Something no one
not a
knows
throwback.
about you.
Okay.
It could be quirky, it could be funny.
Embarrassing. You like to sleep with no clothes on. You like to
Oh,
sleep with the
like
lights
that person
on.
that came and said they
You
wanted-
suck your thumb.
Someone said that they like to pick their nose.
Someone said they killed their dog.
Yes.
Oh, that was
People have
Anikole
said all
Gold.
sorts.
I've never forgotten that.
Ladies first.
Okay. I'm thinking. I have a tattoo.
Where?
Okay.
Tramp stamp.
I was thinking Bola is
stamp.
going to say tramp stamp.
No, actually, below the bikini line.
Okay. What
Mine
is
is
the
tied to a guy,
tattoo,
but I
if you
don't
don't
think
mind
about it.
us asking?
No, it was just something stupid. I was like, oh, it hurts so much. So let me find some physical pain that,
To express my love.
right.
As the
The
strength.
things that women do.
I read French books. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
yes, then that would explain it.
Yes, what about you,
I'm
Michael?
still thinking though. Probably a lot of guys don't admit this, but I think I'm one of those guys who I'm an ardent viewer of Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Really?
One.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So
Okay.
you watch it a lot?
Yes, I do.
Who's your favorite character?
Chloe.
I like
You
it.
see how I call them
likes
characters? Do you see how I call them not sister? Character.
Yeah,
I love
so-
Chloe. I think she's
And I
fantastic.
think a lot of guys don't, but I mean, I'm one of those guys who pick up my.
Why do you like it?
I think I love their hustle spirits.
Yeah.
I love the fact that
They're pushers.
they're pushers.
yeah.
I mean,
Here's
it makes you want to go out there and do stuff, and that's the angle I come from. Not necessarily about the whole story and everything, but for me, it's about the hustle. The fact that these girls go out there
And they
try to do
share their
stuff.
lives.
Yeah.
And they're doing their thing.
Good, yeah.
It's been great
Amazing.
having you guys on the show.
Thank you.
Very, very interesting topic. Very insightful opinions.
Yeah,
We definitely have to get you guys to come back for some more relationship advice.
I definitely think so.
Coming up next, it'll be time for In a Nutshell.